you the big picture. KOAM News Now.
Right now at 5, a Joplin church says resources are dwindling as people seek warming centers during the bitter cold.
And we're going to get a break from that bitter cold out there as temperatures warm up today. Might allow us to get a little more clearing done. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
Plus, federal funds pave the way for hundreds of area kids to visit a national monument.
4 States' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 States, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's another bitterly cold start out there. Very chilly, but the good news is we don't have any advisories or watches or warnings or anything like that, and we're going to start to warm up. Again, check the bottom of your screen. A number of schools are closed again today. A lot of that's not the main roads that are the issue anymore. It's all the side streets, those neighborhood roads, those back roads that are still snowpacked because, again, as we discussed last week, it was going to be cold enough, long enough that once we got the snow, regardless of how much we got, wasn't going to go anywhere anytime soon, and it has definitely proven that point. Let's take a quick look at our camera. This is on the Cornell complex. We again have it pointed down at 7th and Joplin, and you can see that the main roads there look pretty clear. Still some snow there on the sidewalks, but otherwise we're looking a little better. Taking a look at Metro cams from MoDOT, and you can see there's still patches though where we've got some snow on the roadways, especially here at the 7th and Garden Grove. The side roads, the roads that aren't traveled as much, still have some snow on them, and this is still black ice. That's still slick. There's still black ice. So even if your road that you're driving on is a main road and it looks like this, it looks mostly clear, you've still got to watch out there. Same thing for me today as yesterday, traveling up to the Stones Corner roundabout. Just the way I think it's shaped makes it a little more difficult to plow. Therefore, there's still some black ice out there. KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh on 69, looking good. Even the shoulders are looking better, but if you look close enough, you can still see some little snow, some shiny spots out there where slick spots are still a problem. And KDOT still reporting slick spots, again, mainly in our southern counties in southeast Kansas, but from the far west end all the way to the state line, still what they call seasonal or wet pavement, meaning slick spots are still possible out there. And still partially covered roadways up around Mound City out there in southeast Kansas. Now on the Missouri side, MoDOT is reporting clear roadways on all the main thoroughfares here in southwest Missouri. But again, and we ran this story with Oklahoma's DOT yesterday, there still could be black ice. There could still be patchy slick spots out there. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear and will remain that way for today other than a few clouds. We're 15 in Joplin, 13 in Pittsburgh. So, hey, at least these numbers are above zero around the region. Again, temperatures into the low teens out there, so it's still bitterly cold, and the wind chill's still at or just a bit below zero, upwards of about 10 below zero. But today, again, going to be much better. Also breezy once again. I forgot to update that. I apologize, but we're looking at highs today into the mid-30s out there, and we're still going to have some gusty south winds. We're going to talk more about your full forecast, and I'll get that updated for you and all that here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. A warming shelter in Miami, Oklahoma is shutting down its emergency operations today. The Good Neighbor Coalition provides resources to community members in need. During the extreme cold, they've also been serving as a warming shelter. However, they will provide that service only until noon tomorrow. Officials say they will monitor the community's need for them to open as a shelter again. And Joplin First Church of the Nazarene is providing shelter for people to get out of the harsh winter conditions. Recently, the church has hosted nearly 150 people, according to Pastor Shana McGrath. The church provides a place to shower and 3 meals a day. However, due to high demand, resources are running low. The pastor is asking for donations or assistance from the community.
This year, we're providing 3 meals a day, so it's been a little hard because we are not, we're not funded by anybody. We are donation driven, and so with providing 3 meals a day for 100 to 150 people a day, it's been a little bit hard.
The church is requesting items for sandwiches, including meat and bread, as well as clothing and bedding. And the city of Neodesha, Kansas, welcomes a new city administrator. The city hired Brogan Jones last fall, and he began serving in the position Monday. He spent the past 7 months as city administrator in Marion, Kansas. Jones was a code enforcement building inspector in Lyons, Kansas for 2.5 years. A couple of new Kansas grant programs announced yesterday that they're intended to expand the arts in the state. They're the Arts Everywhere grants and General Operating Support grants. State leaders say they'll help expand funding opportunities for a more diverse range of organizations and projects throughout the state. The goal is to help grow the Kansas economy. And a federal grant will pick up the tab for hundreds of grade school kids to visit the George Washington Carver National Monument in Diamond, Missouri. The park says that the money will pay for about 450 fourth graders from Kansas City and Springfield to travel to the park and participate in activities there this spring and summer. Park rangers will visit their classrooms before the field trips. And NFL fans are not the only ones hopping between streaming services to watch games. Area sports bars have to do the same thing, and it's costing them a pretty penny. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Traditionally, sports bars usually buy cable season packages for NFL games, but with the trend of game streaming on platforms like Peacock and Prime, it's costing bars more money.
To air an Amazon game, we had to go out and buy Fire Sticks for each individual TV. With that being said, all of my TVs are up in the air, so changing them out on the fly is not an easy situation for us.
Old Chicago and Joplin and Shooters in Frontenac are among area sports bars that chose not to host the Chiefs wildcard playoff game due to Peacock's prices for establishments.
The NFL package is not a cheap package that we purchased from DirecTV by any means, but then to add on, for a business, it's not cheap. It's not the $5.99 that you get charged through Peacock to watch the Chiefs game. We pay per seat in the restaurant, per TV.
Had a lot to do with it, yeah. The pricing situation on that, like everybody's got Peacock, it seems like. But you bring it into a restaurant or a business, then they want to charge you more for it.
Even when a sports bar shells out money to host a streaming game, they might not get their money's worth.
I even remember going to another restaurant here in town locally to watch UFC fights, and it was glitchy, so.
Despite not hosting games because of pricing, the managers say they're still putting in effort for customers.
So, if we have the Chiefs, we're going to dedicate more TVs to them versus, say, the Bills or the Packers or somebody along those lines.
We try to, yeah. We try to accommodate to our customers.
Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Well, the good news is you can watch the next Chiefs game right here Sunday night on KOAM. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Colgan boys basketball playing Thomas Jefferson in the opening round of the Tom Derby tournament. We'll have the details. Plus, why scientists say the world's largest iceberg is on the move in Antarctica. And temperatures are warming up today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Teeth are amazing. That's why we make new smiles affordable for everyone.
Go ahead and smile.
Well, the bitter cold has done its best to limit high school sports in the area. Even though in the winter most games are happening indoors, there still have been a fair amount of cancellations this week. But yesterday afternoon, the 51st annual Tony DuBray Classic tips off in Liberal. Colgan boys basketball playing Thomas Jefferson in the 1-8 matchup in the opening round of the Tom DuBray tournament. From the opening tip, it's all Panthers. Tristan Voss knocks the ball ahead to Jack Schrimmer. He scores the first points of the evening. Colgan wouldn't surrender that lead. Schrimmer gets a steal, kick-starts the fast break. Karsten Simmons finishes it off with a layup. Panthers score the first 10 points of the game. Ethan Ringer, with a foot on the line, gets the Cavaliers on the board late in the first. This game belongs to Colgan, though. Voss tips the ball, forces another turnover. Outlet pass ahead to Gus Keller for another easy layup. Colgan up 22-5 at that point. Keller with another, this time a tough finish in the lane. The Panthers dominate their tournament opener 66-16. They take down Thomas Jefferson. The host team of the tournament, Liberal, on its home floor facing Sheldon. We start right off at the opening tip again. Luke Bott finds himself open on the elbow and nails a jumper to give the Bulldogs the first points of the night. Couple possessions later, Sheldon trailing by 3. And the sophomore Aiden Bogart ties things up. Nice looking shot. Liberal up by 2. Bott back in the same position, takes a dribble inside and connects on the floater. Then Bulldog defense gets a steal. Justin Payne knows exactly what to do with it. Hits the layup with a hand in his face. Liberal up by 8. Late first quarter, lead trimmed to 6. Payne finds Bott, this time for 3. Nothing but net. Bulldogs coast to a victory in the quarterfinals over Sheldon, 68-28. They'll play Colgan on Thursday. Meanwhile, in the other gym, temperatures about 30 degrees colder for Galena and Northeast. Offenses start cold, 7-7 tie entering the second quarter. That's when Jack Perry started to heat up. It's the 3 to put the Bulldogs up 7 midway through the second. A couple minutes later, Perry again gonna hit the fall-away jumper to put Galena up by 9. Vikings need a response, and they get it in the form of a Jonah Sparks corner 3. That cuts the lead to just 4. Right before halftime, Perry with the ball elevates, and he's going to score from the baseline. Vikings hang around for all 4 quarters, but Galena goes on to win 56-49. Yesterday afternoon, the MIAA announces Marquis English is the Athlete of the Week for men's basketball. This comes after English averaged a double-double with 18 points and 12 rebounds in Pitt State's 2 conference wins over Nebraska Kearney and Fort Hays State on Thursday and Saturday. English is the 3rd Gorilla to earn MIAA Athlete of the Week honors so far this season. And still to come, why a growing number of people in their 20s are spending thousands of dollars for cosmetic procedures to prevent aging. Plus, we're going to have another check of that forecast, some warmer temperatures, some colder temperatures, and some warmer temperatures when the KOAM Morning News returns.
When it comes to your cremation, shouldn't you make the decision?
Nominations are open for the 4 states' finest. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/finest.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:17 on this Wednesday morning across the 4 states. And we really aren't dealing that much with in terms of intense winter weather at this point, but we're still dealing with the remnants of our snow from Sunday of this week. We still have slick spots on highways in our southern counties in southeast Kansas. KDOT's still reporting some partially covered roadways, including parts of 69 as you get up in Lynn County near Mound City out there. On the Missouri side, MoDOT is reporting all of the main thoroughfares in southwest Missouri as clear. However, as we mentioned yesterday and we've mentioned again today, black ice and a few slick spots are still possible. In fact, they are still likely out there. Our camera on the Cornell Complex, one more day I think that we're going to have it pointed down at the roadway here. You can see 7th is looking a lot better. So is Joplin out there. The road's considerably clearer, but there's still slick spots in some locations. MoDOT cameras around the metro kind of give you a better idea of that, especially right here at 7th and Garden Grove, right on those the white striped lines out there. There's still some shiny spots, some slick spots possible. Still a little bit into the left turn lane there at 17th Street and on range lines. So again, you've got to watch out. And the main concern at this point is the concern for black ice. And that's what you're not going to see it until you hit it. So even though the road looks clear, until we get some more melting done today, which thankfully that's going to happen, you still want to take it easy. And of course, a number of side streets and back roads are still snow covered. That's why a number of schools down there have closed again today, because even though the main roads are clear, they can't get their buses on those side roads. KDOT cameras, both of them south of Pittsburgh, both of them looking again considerably better as we go through. Plow crews definitely getting to those main roads. As we go through today, we're looking at partly cloudy skies. We're going to be sunny initially, and then we'll see a few clouds roll in here and there. We're also going to do a lot better temperature-wise out there. And then late tonight and very early tomorrow morning. Now, I know on the future track this looks like a lot of snow. It's really not. We're talking some flurries, maybe some brief periods of light snow out there. Shouldn't add up to much of anything other than maybe a dusting on grassy surfaces, but you still want to watch out for potential slick spots, even on some of the cleared roads out there. And then we're going to spend our day on Thursday, mostly cloudy. And I know it showed some snow. We're not really expecting much in terms of precipitation Thursday. However, the winds are going to shift from the south to the north and temperatures are going to start to fall back again. In Joplin right now, it is 15 degrees, feels like 1 with a south-southwest breeze at 14 miles an hour. Around the region, temperatures right in the low to mid-teens out there, so I know it's still very cold. Still very cold out there. It is better than where we have been with our wind chills at or upwards of 10 degrees below zero. So still very cold wind chills, dangerously cold wind chills for some. But they're not upwards of 20 degrees below zero as they were yesterday. For today, highs right around the mid-30s. A few clouds out there. South breeze, it's still going to be gusty, 15 to 25, gusting to 30 miles an hour. We head into tonight. Again, mostly cloudy skies as clouds increase. Lows in the low 20s. South breeze 10 to 20, gusting to 30. Putting those wind chills at about 10 to 15 degrees above zero, which will be nice. And of course, we could see a few flurries, maybe a little light snow out there. We're going to get more melting taking place initially on our Thursdays. We go into the mid, maybe even upper 30s out there. South breeze will turn around by the afternoon and switch at 5 to 10, and that'll cause our temperatures to start to drop as we go later into the day. In fact, tomorrow, we're going to start in the mid to upper 30s. We're going to make it down to 9 degrees Thursday night. So that's something to contend with out there. Much colder again on Friday, 20, overnight low of 6, 24 on Saturday. And then as we head to the second half of the weekend and the start of next week, we're still looking at rain chances and we are still looking at much better temperatures, a lot closer to normal out there as we go back into the low to mid 40s. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Hinson Septic Tank and Supplies, your local producer.
100 in stock now. So what are you waiting for? Come see us at Wayside Furniture, North Main and Fountain Road in Joplin.
Topping Health Watch this morning, with all the people suffering from depression and anxiety, there's still sometimes a stigma around it, especially among children. One Las Vegas man decided he'd try to change that narrative when he experienced some of those feelings himself. Victoria Saha has a story.
Dedicated to everyone in the depths of darkness, you are not alone.
That's because once upon a time, Caleb Staker did feel alone.
When I was young and starting out with my therapist, I felt very, very alone and like maybe I was the only one, and I felt ashamed and felt like I shouldn't tell people about this. And I realized through all of these years that that's not true.
Staker knew he had feelings of depression, but wasn't sure how to explain it.
I just didn't have words, and I just kept coming back to the word saggy. I was just feeling saggy.
His therapist knew Staker was an artist and challenged him to draw out what feeling saggy looks like.
What made you keep all these drawings from all those years ago, from therapy?
I mean, it feels like a part of you, like you don't want to throw it away. I don't know, your history.
Through these drawings, Staker eventually came up with Saggy Town, a drawing he eventually wrote a story to match with.
So this is the cover of Saggy Town.
The book is about a boy who struggles with anxiety and depression. Then one night, those feelings take physical form and begin to tear apart the town.
So right here we see Juicebox, who is the main hero, his friend Stacy, and Jefferson, and behind we see who is called Darkness in the book.
An illustration of his own life.
The hardest part can sometimes be sharing too much. You don't want to put people off by talking about this.
The Hollywood character artist is used to creating animated characters for other stories, but this character was a special one.
So I had the same color of hat and everything. It was just filling in something like that.
Your therapist kind of forced you to encourage you to start drawing out your feelings. Did you surprise yourself ever with the drawings that would come out?
A little scary at first, the kind of images that were coming out. But with so many people online interested and feeling the same type of things, it really encouraged me.
That encouragement now spreading one page at a time.
I hope that they know that they have a choice and they can choose whether or not goodness wins.
Saggy Town is set to release next Saturday on Amazon. And a growing number of people in their 20s are shelling out thousands of dollars for cosmetic procedures aimed to prevent aging. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, Botox injections among people aged 20 to 29 rose by 71% between 2019 and 2020. The increase is reportedly driven by preventative Botox, getting injections in an area with no defined wrinkles to keep them from forming. Instead of injections, dermatologists say young adults concerned about aging should invest in a simple skincare routine that includes a facial cleanser and moisturizer and a daily sunscreen. And improve collagen production by eating a healthy diet rich in antioxidants and minimize processed food and sugar. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're keeping an eye on road conditions. Most of the main roads are pretty well clear, save a few patches of black ice. Side roads, though, still covered in snow. But we might get some melting done today. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back.
Fund USA to help 4 state first responders purchase safety equipment. Learn more at koamnewsnow.com/HeroFund.
Right now at 5:30, the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri opened its doors for some snowbound kids yesterday.
And while most of the main roads are beginning to clear out, a lot of side streets still snow-packed out there because it's been so darn cold. That's why a lot of schools are closed. We'll take a look at that forecast, talk about some melting on the way coming up.
Plus, a local theater hosts a showing of a film documenting the butterfly people phenomena in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:30. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So another bitterly cold start. We discussed this at the start of the show, but we talked about how, regardless of how much snow we got, wasn't going to go anywhere anytime fast because it was going to be so darn cold. And of course, my middle child, Colt, he's in our newsroom. This is, I don't know, this is like his 4th or 5th day in the last couple of weeks. He practically works here. I think I need to start putting him to work with something. Feel bad for him though, because even at that age, you have a lot of energy, but you get up at 2 o'clock regularly, it starts to wear on you after a while. So hopefully, the kids can get back to school starting tomorrow. I know the kids are probably enjoying the days off, but parents, I'm sure, need those kids back in school. And with the AMI days, I just want to this is why the kids go to school, because I am not skilled in some of these things. There are some math things that they've brought home that I'm like, I don't even know I don't even know what this is. We just were taught this plus this equals this, and now it's these charts and it's just too confusing. Let's take a quick look outside. Let's run through this forecast this morning. 7th and Joplin in downtown, our camera on the Cornell complex. You can see the main roads there look pretty good, but if you look close enough, right in the middle here, there are still spots where there's going to be some patchy black ice. It's better evidenced on the MoDOT cameras around the area. You can see here at 7th and Garden Grove, so you still need to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. And looking better again on 69 south of Pittsburgh, but again, you just got to watch out for that black ice out there. KDOT still reporting some slick spots in our southern counties in southeast Kansas, partially covered roadways up around Mountain City. On the Missouri side, MoDOT reporting clear roadways across southwest Missouri on the major thoroughfares through here, but again, slick spots are going to be the primary concern, and you've got to watch out. Side streets, back roads, all of those still pretty well covered in snow. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear, and today the only thing it's going to really pick up is some extra clouds. 15 in Joplin, 13 in Pittsburgh, so we're doing a little bit better now than what we were. Temperatures around the region in the low to mid-teens, and so our wind chills, they're still pretty darn cold. They're sitting below 0, but they're not upwards of 20 below 0 like we saw yesterday. We are looking at highs in the mid-30s out there today. It's going to be breezy from the south, and we'll start to go partly cloudy as we head into the afternoon. We're going to still stay warm, but we do have some slight chances for some more flurries and then another cold blast on the way. And we'll take a look at all that in the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, more people need firefighters when the temperatures fall, but this Arctic air and snow can provide firefighters with some unique obstacles. Officials, however, say firefighters brace for any call at any time. Jordan Fremston has a story from Oklahoma City.
Lower temperatures.
It can be a challenge.
Means more people need firefighters.
It makes for an interesting day for sure.
Oklahoma City Fire Department Shift Commander David Shearer's team
absolutely
embraces Mother Nature's painful winter breath.
We have a plan of operation, that helps us to deal with response in the cold weather.
Firefighters deal with the same hazards we deal with when the weather gets like this, including ice.
Just slips and falls, slipping on the ice.
Water from their trucks freezes into a hazard.
makes for a slippery work site.
However, they bring the right tools.
So we use roof ladders to help us maintain traction on the roofs.
Snow and ice on the road can slow them down.
So it takes us a little bit longer to get on scene.
Add frozen hydrants to the obstacle list.
And sometimes they get ice buildup on the hydrants.
Preparations with equipment help keep them on schedule. While Shearer's staff respects winter's punch, people on the road forget things can go wrong.
You don't think too much about it.
Firefighters respond to accidents where people didn't wear the right clothes.
And then you're stuck out in the cold for quite a bit of time.
Nonetheless, firefighters fight the cold for whoever needs their service.
Just being able to help other people and make sure that other people have a better day, that's usually one of the things that motivates a lot of our firefighters.
An easy way to help firefighters? Watch out for those flashing lights on the roads. Drivers should give firefighters enough space to pass safely. And the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri opened its doors for some snowbound kids yesterday. The club opened for all members from 7 yesterday morning to 6 in the evening. For parents, the club provided a safe place to send the kids who might have been cooped up in the house for too long.
We rallied some staff who were available to hang out with the kids today, just so they could move and run around and parents could go to work, because everyone's been stuck home since Christmas break, basically. The kids have hardly had any normal school days.
The organization says it had about 80 students show up, ranging from kindergartners to teenagers. And a new documentary looks at a phenomenon that seemed to affect children in Joplin following the 2011 tornado. It's called The Butterfly People, and folks in Webb City yesterday had a chance to view it at the Route 66 Theater. The documentary involves first and third person accounts of several children reporting butterflies helping them in some way following the tornado.
That people would be encouraged and then cause them to think, a little bit, what was that? It's really for everyone to decide for themselves what that was. But I hope everybody who sees it will go away inspired by the story.
So I'd say when we're tested, it shows the quality of people we really were. And that event tested us. And I think that we all proved that people are good. And there's a loving spirit, and that we are all better people, and so out of the bad, good comes.
The theater will host another showing of The Butterfly People on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. 2 Russian missiles struck a Ukrainian residential area in Kharkiv on Tuesday. We'll have the details. Plus, as the war in Gaza grinds on, Israel is focusing on its own security. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the world's largest iceberg is on the move in the Antarctic Ocean. A nature photographer captured the A23A iceberg during a trip on the Antarctic Ocean Sunday. Experts say the floating island of ice is eroding due to waves fueled by powerful winds and currents, and huge caves and arches are cutting into its frozen walls. The massive iceberg measures over 1,500 square miles, roughly three times the size of New York City. But warmer air and surface waters are causing it to slowly melt and ultimately disappear. A23A broke away from the Antarctic coastline back in 1986, but scientists say it only recently begun a big migration. And reports of a deadly bus crash in Turkey as 9 people are dead and 30 others are injured after the passenger bus veered off a highway in Mersin. The bus was heading from the resort town of Marmaris to Mardin. Video released by the Turkish Ministry of Interior shows the bus careening off course and entering another lane before crashing. Some passengers have been reported as saying the driver had been driving, quote, badly and fast. And 2 Russian missiles struck a Ukrainian residential area in Kharkiv on Tuesday. The aftermath of the missiles left 17 injured, with 2 victims suffering severe injuries. Local officials say that at least 10 dwellings were badly damaged, with one of the missiles hitting a 3-story building that had once housed a medical center. Rescue teams scrambled to put out fires and sift through the debris of the destroyed buildings. This attack comes not that long after Russian missiles hit a hotel in the city last week, injuring 11 people. And as the war in Gaza grinds on, Israel is focusing on its own security. Correspondent Alex Hogan has more from Tel Aviv.
As the war in Gaza grinds on, southern Israel is reeling from the biggest barrage of Hamas rockets in more than a week. Dozens of rockets fired at towns near the border, despite more than 3 months of an Israeli offensive aimed at destroying those capabilities. Residents say they're shaken but staying strong.
It's not an easy situation, but there's no despair. We hope this situation will eventually end, that there will be quiet and no wars. But we are facing an enemy that is not easy.
The attack came as Israeli troops in northern Gaza located more than 100 rockets, killing dozens of militants during the raid. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now working with civilian officials to repair the damage and prevent further attacks.
We are determined to rehabilitate the communities, to return the residents to their homes, and to bring about prosperity much more than what existed even before the war.
Meanwhile, diplomats are still scrambling to stop the war from expanding, but it doesn't appear to be working. Iran's Revolutionary Guard striking what it claimed was an Israeli spy headquarters near a U.S. consulate in northern Iraq. At least 4 civilians were killed in the attack. Iraqi officials are calling the claims baseless, and they're vowing to respond.
The stance must be clear and unified towards these actions that affect Iraqi citizens, and the Iraqi government will take some measures.
Israel's defense minister says the intensive maneuvering stage in northern Gaza is over, despite heavy fighting still being reported there.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
After driving cattle in the 1880s,
Friendly sales professionals help with your project. Stop into any of our locations and see all T.H. Rogers has to offer.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:44 on this Wednesday morning, and we are taking a look at road conditions. And we're getting to that point where we won't have to do this at least for a couple of 3 days, hopefully longer than that. KDOT still reporting slick spots in our southern counties in southeast Kansas from the far western edge all the way to the state line, and still reporting partially covered roadways, including stretches of 69 up around Mound City out there. Now, MoDOT, on the other hand, is reporting all of the major thoroughfares in southwest Missouri as clear, but that doesn't mean that there's not still potential black ice and a couple of slick spots here and there, so you've still got to watch out across the region. Even though roads are reported as clear, there could still be some black ice out there because it is still very cold across the area. And of course, a number of city side streets and back roads still covered in snow. That's why a number of schools are closed once again today. Taking a look at our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. 7th Street, it looks pretty good. So does Joplin Avenue, at least this little stretch here. But if you look close enough, there's still a few spots here and there where there could be some patchy slick spots. Metro cams from MoDOT, and you can see we're looking pretty good. The roads do look a lot better, but look at the shine here on 32nd Street, and look at the shine here on East 7th near Garden Grove. That's still areas of potential black ice and places where you could slide. And since the roads look really clear, a lot of folks starting to drive a little more normal speed out there. But you still want to watch out. Be cautious, because you're not going to see that black ice until you hit it, and even a small amount can still cause you to lose control. KDOT cameras both south of Pittsburgh on 69, again, looking considerably better. You can see a lot more of the roadway out there. As we look down the road, now today we're going to go partly cloudy, but we're also going to go warmer as we head into the mid-30s today, which is going to be nice. That's going to help us get some melting done on some of those roads that aren't always cleared necessarily, again, like city side streets and back roads. However, overnight tonight into very early tomorrow morning. Now, I know on the future track that looks like a lot of snow. It's not a lot of snow. We're talking brief periods of flurries, maybe some light snow out there. So if anything, we're looking at maybe a dusting on grassy surfaces and potentially bridges and overpasses out there. But we're not looking at any significant accumulation. So that's some good news. As we go into our Thursday, we're going to be starting the day with a few clouds here and there. We'll go mostly cloudy later in the day. And then later in the day, take a look at the wind arrows. They begin to shift out of the north. So we're going to have a southerly breeze initially, which is why we're going to have a pretty warm day comparatively. Still below average, but warm enough to get more melting done. However, once the winds shift out of the north, our temperatures are going to begin to fall again as we go into Thursday. In Joplin right now, it is 15 degrees, south-southwest breeze at 14, making it feel like 1, but that certainly beats 20 below, which is what we were seeing yesterday. Temperatures around the region all into the lower to mid-teens out there, and as we factor in that breeze, We're still got wind chills below zero, upwards of 10 degrees below zero. But again, it beats 20. We're going to continue to improve at least through today and tomorrow. We're looking at partly cloudy skies today, mid-30s for our highs. South breeze gusting upwards of 30. And again tonight, some light flurries, maybe brief light snow out there. Nothing major expected. And lows, much better. Back into the low 20s. South breeze still gusting upwards of 30. And our wind chills will be about 10 to 15 degrees. And that's above zero, not below. You're going to get more melting done tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies, mid to upper 30s, and then temperatures will start to drop later in the day as the winds shift out of the north at 5 to 10 miles an hour. After that, we get much colder again. Friday, Saturday, back into the 20s, overnight lows in the single digits out there. But thankfully, this cold spell doesn't last as long. We start warming up in the second half of the weekend. We see rain chances by next Monday and Tuesday, temps in the low 40s. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Nominations are open for the 4 states' finest. Go to KOAM News Now.
Pathologist, that is.
Electric vehicles can pose a major risk if they catch on fire. The flames might continue to burn for at least 24 hours if firefighters can't get to the battery. So a retired fire captain in Massachusetts has come up with a way to battle the fire. Mike Sullivan shows us how it works.
It's fighting fire with fire, or in this case, tech with tech.
Put this on.
Jerry O'Hearn is a retired Everett fire captain. You were looking at his invention.
We can go in all different type of directions with this thing.
It's how he plans to combat growing concerns around EV car fires. They can burn for hours, even a day.
There is no guarantee that this will not reignite.
The culprit is their lithium batteries. Some can stretch almost the length of the car.
And we got to cool down the battery underneath it, right?
Many EVs tend to be low to the ground, making it hard to get to the battery. O'Hearn says some firefighters even attempt to flip the car on its side with their hands.
In the future, they're hoping to have some type of extinguishing suppressant on it, right? Which they could have built right into these automobiles.
In the present, O'Hearn has this. He calls it the Jerry pipe. It's a steel pipe and nozzle on wheels. It's capable of getting under the car at a safe distance. It attaches here.
That's the on position.
Allowing an officer to manage the water. At the end of the pipe, you could attach a special nozzle called a Breslin nozzle, and as you're pushing underneath the car, it'll spin, sending water everywhere.
It minimizes the firefighter having to move it around.
Richard Jalbert owns a Peabody plumbing company. He built O'Hearn's design.
We could put them together pretty quickly. Yeah, it'd probably take about an hour to build.
The device cools the car down. The target is 140 degrees.
And when we shut the operation down, we wait 45 minutes.
If it does, a fire department can now safely move the car away.
O'Hearn says even with the Jerry pipe, there is no guarantee that the lithium battery won't reignite. And police say a man carved a path of destruction and caused quite a commotion in front of frightened shoppers. Patrick Cornell shows us, and take a look at this.
A horrifying scene unfolding in a Home Depot parking lot in Nebraska.
Guy's going crazy with the skid loader.
Police say a man secured the heavy machinery and unleashed mayhem, crashing it right into a police cruiser. Allegedly, only a portion of the pandemonium. Authorities say the man hit multiple cars in the parking lot and caused damage at other nearby businesses during the rampage. He's been arrested and faces a slew of charges.
Guess Nebraska's the new Florida. I'm gonna start seeing Nebraska Man headlines everywhere.
From the bad to the good, these fans answered the call to help digs out when heavy snow threatened the Buffalo Bills playoff game. For $20 an hour, the diehard fanatics busted their backs scooping and shoveling snow from the stadium on Monday. Some fans found a way to josh around, slipping and sliding through the snow in the freezing cold. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do for your squad. And the hard work, it all paid off. With all the white stuff being snow more, the Bills cooked the Steelers. A pooch in peril plunged underneath the ice of a frozen pond in Utah. Thankfully, firefighter Logan Hadley was fully prepared for a wintry water rescue. Armed with a ladder and a rope, Hadley worked his way across the ice and into the pond, reaching the dog named Bob. Bob put up a small struggle, but his firefighter friend eventually able to corral and lift him out and away from the danger. anxious moments, but for Bob, nothing a little shake can't cure. Good boy. For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Well, we'll be right back with more news after this.
From the moment you call until you walk through our doors.
KOAM 7.3, Me TV 4 states.
Me TV. Memorable entertainment. Television.
If you're looking for a taco, you shouldn't have to look too far. A recent Pew Research Center study found that 1 in 10 restaurants serve Mexican food. Across the U.S., 85% of counties have at least one Mexican restaurant. No surprise, California and Texas have the most Mexican restaurants. Pew says the study reflects the growing Mexican-American population, which now accounts for 11% of the total U.S. population. And today is National Bootleggers Day, a time to celebrate the repeal of Prohibition 90 years ago. You might say it is the complete opposite of Dry January. January 17th also happens to be the birthday of legendary bootlegger Al Capone and Templeton Rye, his favorite whiskey. Whether illegal, untaxed liquor was made by moonshiners or smuggled by bootleggers like Capone, Prohibition lasted 13 long years. Moonshine runners are even credited with the inspiration for NASCAR racing. You can celebrate National Bootleggers Day by raising a glass of your favorite spirits. It's also a good time to learn about speakeasies, flappers, the Roaring Twenties, and American during the Prohibition era.
And we've got ourselves a warmer day out there. We're going to get some melting done. Partly cloudy skies, mid-30s. South breeze 15 to 25, gusting upwards of 30. Could see some light flurries, maybe a brief period of light snow, so maybe a dusting on grassy surfaces. Of course, bridges and overpasses as well. Could also get a little bit of snow on there, so watch out for more slick spots. Low 20s, though, so much better tonight. South breeze still gusting upwards of 30. Wind chills 10 to 15 above zero, so still very cold, but much better than 20 below zero. Mid-30s again tomorrow. More melting taking place, mostly cloudy skies, and our winds will shift out of the north later in the afternoon, and that's going to allow temperatures to begin to drop, unfortunately. So we're going to go from mid-30s tomorrow down to 9 tomorrow night. 20s on Friday and Saturday. Overnight lows Friday into the single digits again. However, temperatures will begin to warm as we head into next week. We go upper 30s Sunday. Rain chances as we head into next week as well, all the way through Friday. And our temperatures looking much better and much closer to normal as we go back into low to mid 40s. That's Check Your Forecast. We have another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Prearrange your service.